What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction, man. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now listen, at this given time, ain't really nobody really vacationing. You know what I mean? We so quarantined up right now. We don't even know when we gonna get to vacation again. I can't wait to be able to get outside and take a vacation again, man. I'm at the edge of my seat for when that can take place. But while we can't, man, we can think about some things though. Definitely, right? So this next video, man, is gonna be 3 scary true vacation stories, all right? I don't know why I prefaced it like that, but I did, and here we are. So what? So yeah, 3 scary true vacation stories. This is volume 3, all right? So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, join the fam, man. Make sure if you're watching this and it's at night, make sure all the lights in the house is off, the doors is closed, and you set the scene for the video. You gotta set the scene for these videos if you want them to be truly, truly effective, all right? So let's get to it, man. Here we go. Subscribe.
My girlfriend and I love skiing. It's how we met. So last year, during both of our vacation times, we Airbnb'd a 1-bedroom cabin in Colorado by Vail Mountain. One of my friends told us getting a private cabin was a lot more cozy, peaceful, and romantic. After landing at the airport, we taxied to a rental car place and rented a Honda Civic, probably the cheapest car we could get. We drove a constant uphill through the sludge on the roads until we pulled off the main road onto a more foresty side road.
Is it me, or does that not seem like the ideal car for you to be driving in those weather conditions? A Honda Civic? Wouldn't you need like a SUV or a truck, 4-wheel drive, something to be in those type of conditions? That just didn't seem to make sense to me already off the bat. But I could be wrong. I've never been skiing. I've never been in those areas, in those conditions, so I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Just trying to think like logically.
Through the sludge on the roads until we pulled off the main road onto a more foresty side road. Eventually, we made it to the cabin. Far and isolated from anyone else, but not too far where getting to the mountain would be a pain in the ass. The owner left the key hidden in the mailbox. As soon as I unlocked the door and we stepped inside, we got a huge whiff of, I guess, wood. It literally smelled exactly how you'd expect a log cabin to smell. It wasn't huge, but it was spacious enough. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, decent living room with a TV and a kitchen. I was paying chump change for it, so I was more than happy with it. Plus, we were there to ski, not sit around the cabin. We got there towards the end of the day, so we didn't hit the slopes that night. We actually just unloaded and got right back on the road to pick up a pizza for dinner. We got back and ate on the couch in the living room while watching a movie. With the dark, moody lighting and the whole log cabin atmosphere, it actually was quite romantic. Until my girlfriend started freaking out about her bag. Apparently it wasn't where she left it, which was on the coffee table in the living room.
See, that's the thing I'd be worried about right there. They're proving my point that I be having these arguments with Queen. Like, these people that you rent these places from, you know what I mean? They have access to you. So when you're at your most vulnerable moments, you sleeping, you know what I'm saying? You let your guard down or whatever, they can just creep back in. They still got keys to the place. It's a lot of things. So you gotta be, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta look at like what's the weapons laws in different states and different things, because you want to bring your stuff from your home, and if you're traveling to a different state, they may have different laws. So it's all this type of stuff you gotta think about when doing it.
I helped her look around, though there wasn't much space to search. She was absolutely positive she left it on the coffee table. It wasn't in the bathroom, kitchen, or living room, so I checked the bedroom, and sure enough, it was sitting right next to the bed. I picked it up and brought it to the doorway of the bedroom with a smirk on my face. My girlfriend didn't seem as relieved as I thought she would be, though. She accused me of moving it and going through her bag, which I found downright insane. We had a bit of an argument until I convinced her that she in fact put her bag in there and that she had just forgotten. We went back to eating and watching the movie, and we got over the argument quickly. The next day, we hit the slopes from early morning till dusk. We stopped on the way back to the cabin to get dinner again. When we returned back to the cabin, we both immediately noticed the living room light was on. My girlfriend was slightly freaking out. I told her to chill. The front door was still locked, so that confirmed nobody had broken in. I thought obviously one of us left the light on by mistake and didn't notice earlier because it was bright out. So once again, we ate our food and watched a movie, when suddenly, out of nowhere, my girlfriend shrieked. I jumped up and looked at her. She had one hand covering her mouth, the other pointing at something on the ground. At first I didn't see it, but when I got up confused and moved closer, I saw it. There was a pair of somewhat fresh boot marks in the rug in the corner of the living room.
Oh.
The snow from the boots had melted into wet stains in the area rug. Obviously both of us wore boots, but I just didn't remember stepping over there.
See? Your mind go to playing tricks with you. It was like, oh man, is it or isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Is it or isn't it? Your mind go to messing with you. Now you're starting to think. Now you become paranoid. Nah, man.
Girlfriend asked me to check around the cabin to make her feel safe, so I did. I peeped under the kitchen table, behind the living room couch, in the bathroom, and I took a peep in the bedroom. There didn't appear to be anyone in the cabin. There weren't really many places to hide anyway. Still, she was scared and seemed to lose all interest in the movie. She went to the bathroom and brushed her teeth, then went to the bedroom to change, and I heard her jump into bed. So I did all the same. I climbed into bed and shut the light, and we sat there for a while just talking. It was actually only like 9 or 10 p.m. My girlfriend kept letting me know how uncomfortable she was, thinking someone was in the cabin. So I told her, okay, just wait 1 second. I took out my phone and dialed the Airbnb host. I put the phone up to my ear.
If he dialed this Airbnb host and his phone rang from inside the house, bro, that's a good way to get shot. I'm telling you.
And heard it ring. I don't mean the ring coming from the phone speaker. I meant I heard a loud, muffled ringing coming from behind the wall next to the bed.
Ow!
The ringing stopped as soon as I saw my call was rejected. My girlfriend started screaming, "Oh my God." I told her to calm down as I got up and approached the wall to the left. I noticed an ever so slight crack in the wall that looked like it could be a door. My girlfriend screamed at me not to open it, but I got myself angry, yelled, and pulled open the door. There I was, faced with a small hidden closet, and inside, a man hiding behind a cardboard box in the corner. It was the host, the owner of the cabin. I'd seen his picture on the listing. I'll admit, I jumped and screamed in fear and shock when I saw him, but anger overcame me and I grabbed him by his shirt and pulled him out. I knew he looked creepy based on his picture. He had his hands up, apologizing. I told him to shut up. I looked deeper in the closet and, to my disgust, found some of my girlfriend's underwear.
Oh, fam. Nah, not only are you creepy, you a perv too? Come on. Yo, do y'all think is she ever going on another one of these? No. This is over with, fam. And he being awfully nice to him.
It took way too long for the police to arrive, but he was arrested. We had to spend the rest of that night at a hotel, and the next day we went home. I requested compensation from Airbnb, and it took months for them to refund me, but they eventually did. This story was so bizarre and disturbing, I don't even expect everyone to believe it when I tell it, but it was too real.
Now tell me right now, that's gonna be ingrained in your mind the next time you go on vacation. And especially if you go to a cabin. Fam, you in the middle of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? And somebody you're at the mercy of that person, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy.
When my best friend Lizzie and I were 18, we went on our first vacation alone together to London. We were staying at the London Marriott Hotel. The first thing we did upon arrival was, of course, to get there and drop off all our luggage. We'd be there for a whole week, so we had to set our itinerary. It was late in the day already, so we didn't have much time that day. But we did want to see something at least. So we went to see Big Ben, which is that iconic big clock tower that everyone knows in pictures when you think of London. After that, we went to a nearby tavern for dinner called St. Stephen's Tavern. It was money, but good thing our dads were paying for this trip. After leaving the tavern, it was like 9 o'clock, and we were wanting to go out and experience the nightlife. We agreed we'd first have to go back to the hotel and shower and change first. As we were walking, a young, attractive man overheard us talking about the nearby bars we were looking at on our phones, and he stopped us. Something about him immediately was just charming that grabs both my and Lizzie's attention. And if it weren't for that, maybe we wouldn't have been so receptive to him telling us about a big apartment party that one of his rich friends was throwing that night, and that...
First of all, you out of town. You in a different country, bro. You don't know anybody. And you want to go to an apartment party? That's what you do. You might as well just handed him the knife and told him to slit your throat now. Like he was asking for death.
That two attractive ladies like ourselves would fit right in.
Apartment party? Wake up, your kidneys gone, selling them on the black market. Or you wake up and people, you're a sex slave and they bidding on you, and sounds like a hostile situation.
Lizzie and I looked at each other.
Is it hostel? Brothel? Oh, that was the name. Was it that the name of the movie, Hostel? I can't remember from back then. Well, I can't remember.
And laughed. We said we'd be down, and he said, great, the party doesn't start till 11.
Woo!
He asked for my number, so I gave it to him. Then he said he'd text me the details and see us later, and down the street he walked. Lizzie and I were super excited. It was only the first night, and we were already invited to a crazy London party.
Hey, y'all sound dumb. You can tell, man, people ain't never been nowhere. They just anxious to get out, and they have no regard for safety, or they just don't think, man.
We figured if we played our cards right with the wealthy people at this apartment party, we would have people to hang out with the rest of the trip. We got back to the hotel, showered and changed, and we pre-gamed with a little vodka first to loosen ourselves up. I think we drank more than we should have, though. I texted the guy we met, realizing we didn't even get his name. He texted back quickly with the address to the apartment, so we loudly marched into the street to wait for our Uber. It was a 15-minute Uber drive to get to the apartment. When we got there, we couldn't believe how different the architecture of this apartment building was compared to something back home in America. I pressed the code for the apartment, and we were quickly buzzed in. We took the elevator to the 5th floor. We were excited, but nervous, not knowing what to expect. The alcohol was definitely helping, though. I knocked on the door to the apartment, but we didn't hear music inside, which was odd. We were nervous we had the wrong apartment, until the young man from earlier opened the door. He hugged us hello, and welcomed us into this dead, quiet apartment. He shut the door, and we asked, "Where is everyone?" He said, "Oh, it's still early, don't worry." We looked around the apartment, and it was not at all as big as we were expecting for an apparent rich guy. We asked where his friend who owned the apartment was. The man said he was getting things ready in his room. He told us to sit and make ourselves comfortable. I remember looking at my phone and seeing it was like 11:30. Lizzie and I sat down, and I could tell by her face she was as put off by this as I was. The man sat down on the same couch as us, next to me. He was uncomfortably close. Suddenly, another man came out from another room. He didn't say anything. He didn't smile. He just looked at us as he walked towards the door to the apartment. And he just stood there. The man on the couch with us started asking us questions like where we were from and if it was just us two visiting here. I started feeling sick to my stomach. The man next to us got up and went,
"Oh, now you're starting to feel sick to your stomach. Oh, now it's starting to set in." Did I miss their age? That's what I want to know. What was their age? Because logic and reasoning is just, it's lost in those two.
Went to the kitchen to get us some drinks. The man by the door stood there. Lizzie was to the left of me, so she was more hidden from view. I whispered in her ear to dial 911. She did so, and I noticed her tapping on the phone multiple times, indicating to the call taker that we needed help. Lizzie then suddenly called out loudly to the man in the kitchen, "This is apartment 5C, right?" The man at the door said yes in a deep, unfriendly voice. I whispered to Lizzie again that we needed to stall, and not to drink any drinks the man gave us. As I was whispering to Lizzie, the man standing at the door called to the man in the kitchen to hurry up with the drinks, and then he came back from the kitchen with the drinks. I had to think on my feet, to stall as long as possible before drinking whatever he just set in front of us.
Spill it. Spill it.
I put on a fake and bubbly persona and said we should play Would You Rather. I know it sounds juvenile, but I had to think of a game that didn't involve drinking. The man seemed to play along with it, so me and Lizzie started coming up with Would You Rather questions. And he started coming up with some of his own, but he would often suggest we take a sip of our drinks, saying the guests would be there soon and that we needed to loosen up some more. I stalled for as long as I could, saying we already drank a lot, but we'd be down to drink more in a little bit. I remember when things were about to turn really south. The two men looked at each other. Then the bigger, scarier man at the door came over and said, "All right, drink your drinks." He was about to reach for one of the glasses to probably force in my face, when there was an aggressive banging at the door, followed by a man shouting police. The younger man looked at us and asked, "Did you call the police?" I said, "No, why and when would we?" But my voice cracked as I said this, indicating I was nervous. Lizzie apparently just decided the hell with my story and screamed help. The police started to attempt to kick the door down, but the bigger man screamed, all right, and opened the door with his hands up. The two men tried playing innocent. Lizzie and I had to fabricate the story a little bit, saying the two men basically forced us into the apartment and wouldn't let us leave, and that we were pretty sure they drugged our drinks. That was enough to get the men arrested. A second police car arrived to escort us to the station for further questioning. The drinks were tested, and it turned out to no surprise, they were roofied. This was definitely a scarring experience, but we didn't let it ruin our trip to London. In fact, we never told our parents until years later, just because...
That doesn't ruin your experience? Yo, some people, I guess I'm just different then. Maybe I'm just different. Because that would have ruined my experience. I'd have been iffy of everybody and everything. You know what I mean? From that moment on. And that, to me, that means I'm not going to enjoy myself for the rest of the trip. We could be at a known restaurant, they hand me a drink, now I'm looking at it. All up under it, all around. I'm skeptical about everything now.
It would probably make them less likely to let us travel anymore. The alcohol definitely didn't help our initial decision-making in the night. But our advice would probably be don't ever trust strangers, no matter what they look like.
They lucky, because they took a 15-minute ride to get to that place, meaning once they were out, they were out of there. They were out. Once they drank them drinks and passed out, nobody was going to find you. Nobody was going to know where to start looking at. You was 15 minutes away from your hotel or wherever you were staying at. So, they're lucky. Lucky. If I was your parents, boy, whoo-wee.
When I was 14, my parents took us on a trip to a family resort. It was in the middle of nowhere, and it was the most country-ish, old-style resort you could ever imagine. Every building was made of wood. There were big, creepy bugs crawling around. The inside of the resort halls all smelled like cigarettes. I felt too old to be in there with my family, especially since I'm the only boy out of my siblings, and my sisters were 9 and 5 at the time. I tried looking for teens my age to make friends with, but it really seemed like it was just families with younger kids. However, I met this girl who was 15. We met in the little arcade hall when I was with my 2 sisters. She came up to me and said, "Hey." As it turned out, she was staying here with her family too, and she wasn't having a good time either. So we started to hang out. She seemed kind of cool, a little strange, had somewhat gothy vibes to her. Her name was Alyssa. The next day, I ran into her again as I was passing by the pool. She waved me over, and she said let's go for a walk in the woods by the river. As we did, I tried to get to know her more. I asked her what building her room was in. She hesitated before her answer and then said, the one next to the main hall. It was a vague answer. We sat by the river for a while, and I gotta admit, she started talking about some weird, dark stuff. I won't get into it, but I started to think she had some issues. Then she looked up at me and said, "Can we go to your room?" I lit up with excitement inside. I was a 14-year-old boy, hormones.
Oh man, yes, we could go to my room. Yes, absolutely.
Raging, so obviously I said yes with a little too much excitement in me, imagining the best case scenario. We got close to my room and she asked for the card to open the door, and she ran ahead to open it. We sat on my bed for a few minutes. I was a bit awkward, so I didn't know how to make a move or if to make a move. She started talking about deep, dark stuff again though. How she hated her family, how she had no more friends, how she likes the feel of blood, whatever that meant. Then out of nowhere, she flicked open a huge switchblade and looked at me. She told me sometimes she thinks about using this on herself or someone else. That was the moment this went from weird to disturbing. This wasn't going where I thought it was. It was actually going in a much darker, scarier direction. The way she looked at me with the knife flicked open was scaring me. She looked at me and said, "Do you want to use this knife on someone here?" I thought over my answer and said, "I don't know, I have to think about it." Obviously, I would never. But this girl's true psychotic nature had just come out, and I had to play it safe. I said we should go back outside and walk around. She said okay. So we went back outside and walked around the resort grounds. I watched the way she looked at people passing by, staring them down, not caring when they would notice. Luckily, I saw my parents straight ahead, and I said, "Oh shoot, there's my parents. I should probably go hang out with them." Alyssa looked a little bit annoyed. All she said was, "Okay." I said, "See ya," and she just looked at me. I went to my family, and for the rest of the day and night, I stayed with them, hoping to not run into that freaky girl again. That night, we got back to the room around 9. This resort had huge rooms, so basically I had my own room that was attached to my parents' and sister's room, but it also had its own door into the hall. Anyway, I went to sleep, or at least tried to. Half an hour into laying in bed, I heard the beep from the door unlocking, and then the door to my room opening and closing. By the time I fully looked up, the door was shut and the light from the hall was gone. I saw someone standing in front of the door though. "Who is it?" I said. I heard a familiar girl's voice. "I want blood." I sat up and remembered I never got
Yours? That would have been mine. Yours?
my key card back from Alyssa. She planned this. She approached my bed in the dark with something in her left hand because she had it lifted. She said it again. "I want blood. Will you help me, or will I get it from you?"
Oh, you mean your blood? Oh, yeah, I can help you with that at this moment. Yeah, better yours than mine.
I'm not ashamed to admit it. I screamed like a goddamn girl. She still stood there. She didn't charge at me. She didn't run at first. When my dad burst into the room, though, that's when she took off. My dad saw her, and I yelled she was about to kill me. He was about to go after her, but I screamed, "Don't, she has a knife." Everyone in the hall came out of their rooms to see what was going on. We went down to the main office to get some info on this Alyssa girl, and out of all the guests, there was no one named Alyssa. Hell, there were no girls even close to her age staying at the resort at that current time. Police were called, and like 4 cop cars showed up and searched the whole perimeter. I think like 2 or 3 cop cars stayed overnight since there were so many kids at the place. The key card lock was changed on our door for the night. A lot of families, including mine, left the next day, and we got a refund for the 2 days we cut short. This whole thing was actually insane. That girl was fucked up in the head, and it's scary knowing she was probably in the early stages of being a completely different monster.
That's crazy. Do you want blood? Yo, that's sick, man. Hell, you never know with people, man. But I think the more crazier story was those girls out in London. Sorry. Like, if you haven't watched enough movies by now to know that strangers in foreign places, man, you can't really trust them. But they were younger, so I bet that's a lesson well learned that they'll never forget. Never forget. They lucky they made it out, man. Listen, man, y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think, man. But that truly is one of the scariest things about going out of the country, going on vacations, different things like that, man, is things happening to you in somebody else's, you know what I mean, environment, habitat. That's just things that make you nervous. You know what I mean? And if you're head of the household, like myself, you try to think of all the possibilities, man. And you don't want to be like, nah, and always be the person that be like, no, we don't need to go there because of this. You don't always want to be, you know what I mean, the person that as the Debbie Downer of the crew that always shoot down the vacation spots. But this is the reason why. This is the reason why. So y'all get at me. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a like, share the video, subscribe, and stick around and stay tuned, man. Until the next reaction, I'm out. Peace. Y'all stay solid. Hey.